There are several main characters, really. You meet Foxglove and her sister first. Iris is her sister, Foxglove, and Iris Bellamore. And then you meet Asher in the jungle. You'll meet Orion and Declan, and you'll meet Hector, who is a soldier. If you have been reading my short stories, then you have already met Hector. He's the commander of the King's Legion, or becomes the commander of the King's Legion, actually, in the short story, if you haven't read it yet. So along with Hector is Jax Blackmore and Raven Nightshade. They are three soldiers from the King's Legion that become main characters throughout the series. Not so much in book one, you get them a little bit in book one, but in book two they really become main characters. Orion was also featured in my short stories, so you get Orion O'Connell Origins, so that's a pretty cool story. That one's really short. It's kind of like gives you a little hint into his character, so whenever you meet him and hate him, you maybe understand why he is the way that he is. That's sort of the purpose of the short story. And then, of course, there's the royals. So Volley and Ingrid Kirkeval, who, again, if you read my short stories, you already met them. The Mad King and his wife Ingrid. They are not married in the short story, but when you read book one, they are already married. They are the king and queen of Cordillera. They live in Jericho, the royal city, and they become main characters, very main characters, in book three. So you kind of see them. There's a couple scenes with them throughout books 1 and 2, just as the characters are in Jericho and they're running into them, and obviously they are the royals, so they are taking part in some big decisions. But you really get to know them in book 3 and book 4, especially Volley. Volley, also known as Valerian Kirkeval. He is probably my favorite character. That's not to say that he's good or bad. You don't really know when you meet him. I mean, he's one of those characters that he might be a villain, but also you kind of love him. Or he might not actually be a villain. He just seems like a villain. I'm not going to tell you either way, so you're just going to have to read it and find out. I think he might be a character, just sort of like Orion too, that people will either love or hate. And, that's just how it is. I personally love those characters in books that I am reading. Like, I love the troubled villain, or the either villain turns good or villain makes sense. I always say that villains are made. And, once you find out a villain's backstory, it kind of makes sense that they are the way they are. Usually, not always. But yeah, so there's definitely some characters like that in my story that you're going to question, is this person really good, or are they really bad, or what are they? Are they, okay, but they're just kind of selfish and like out for their own means, or what?